everyone. Welcome everyone in the room. Welcome everyone in the live stream. I am so glad everybody could make it this morning. Can we do a quick show of hands in the room? How many of you are here for the first time? For how many of you is it the first you see? Awesome. I hope you will have a great time, and I know you will learn a lot. I'm Miriam Schmitz. I'm a senior instructor here at Esri, based in Redlands, California. And joining me today is my colleague, Kaylee Shaw, also senior instructor in educational services, based in Redlands. And today we want to take you on a journey through the ArcGIS system. Don't forget, you can share your feedback in the conference app. We really appreciate your feedback. You find the session in the app, Getting Started, the ArcGIS system, and then in the session you scroll down and you can access the survey. So we explore what the ArcGIS system is. First, we will start in ArcGIS Pro. We will see what ArcGIS Pro can be used for. And then we see how the ArcGIS system is driven by ongoing trends in GIS. Trends that have led to the emergence of WebGIS. ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise have been born out of that. We will also see how ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise build the foundation for working with many of our apps. We will take ArcGIS Field Maps as an example of a mobile app that we can use for data collection. And then we will also see how we can find data in ArcGIS Hub, a web app that makes it very easy to build sites for collaboration and data sharing. And then we will spend the last 15 minutes to answer your questions at the end. Also for the live stream audience, we have our Pigeonhole system running, so you can ask questions in there. And as much as we can, we will see that we can either answer them during or after the session. As an instructor, when I'm setting up the classroom at a client side, we often get the questions about what ArcGIS is. Okay, Miriam, where's the box? I hear that a lot. Well, what box? Well, the box to install the software. Well, and then I always explain ArcGIS is not just one box of software, not just one application that we install on our computer. It's a whole system of apps and applications. Some of it is installed on your desktop computer, but some of it is in the cloud, and all these apps and applications, they work together as a system. And that's what we want to explore today. There are different ways to describe that ArcGIS system. Originally, it started out as the system of records. The system of records is for data management. Organizations have their data stored in a database. They map out the data, add them as layers to a map, and then share that data with coworkers or with clients. The ArcGIS system then also quickly evolved into the system of insights. Answer questions with your data, gaining new insights, exploring, analyzing the data. And then the newest development in the ArcGIS system is that it turns more and more into a system of engagement. Basically, apps and maps that work together to connect people, tell stories, and gather information to analyze and put that analysis result on the map. So ultimately, with the ArcGIS system, we can store our data, we can gain insights into our data, and then engage with others that use our data and collaborate with others and communicate. So what can the ArcGIS system do? What can we do in all these different apps and applications? Well, first of all, there is data collection and management. We can easily collect data or maybe crowdsource data collection with some of our apps. Then we can store, access, and share our data efficiently and securely. And different departments in the organization can integrate data stored in the ArcGIS system. Then, of course, there's mapping. We love maps, right? Everybody here at the conference, it's even on a t-shirt, we love maps. So, on a map, we can perhaps already spot some spatial patterns in our data so that we can make better decisions and take actions based on our data. And ArcGIS gives us the ability to create, use, and share data to any device. Imagery and remote sensing is another important field of ArcGIS. ArcGIS gives us everything we need to manage imagery, extract answers from imagery, and remotely sense data in general, LiDAR data, for example. And then, by the way, it also includes the Living Atlas. The Living Atlas has many examples, and it has a large collection of imagery that you can use in combination with your other data, maybe with your locally stored data. And most importantly, the ArcGIS system is a system for spatial analysis and data science. It provides the tools to uncover all these great hidden patterns in our data, improves prediction, predictive modeling, and ultimately, you all work in different organizations, right? Ultimately, gets you that competitive edge in your organization. There is 3D visualization and analytics as well, brings us real-world context to our maps and data. We can instantly transform our 2D data into 3D visualizations. We can also do 3D analysis with 3D data and solve problems in a three-dimensional, realistic way. And finally, field operations. ArcGIS apps support all our great field workflows, data collection, all the other workflows, inspection, and then in the office, the field staff can work together with the field crews and see the data in real time as it's been collected, right? So that's the big high-level overview here. And from here, let's take a look at the actual products. What are the software products we can work with in the ArcGIS system? First of all, there's ArcGIS Pro, we mentioned already. Our Prime desktop application, we will take a closer look at that in a moment. Then there is ArcGIS Enterprise, which includes server software. ArcGIS Server is a technology that makes WebGIS happen. It provides a cloud workspace for doing your GIS workflows in the clouds. And then ArcGIS Online supports very similar workflows, but is software as a service maintained by Esri. So you don't have to worry about licensing and version upgrades and all that good stuff. And fairly new is ArcGIS Platform in the developer space. ArcGIS Platform allows developers to build apps using the client API that best fits their needs. They can work directly with location services. They can use open source mapping libraries in their programming. And all these products are designed really to facilitate this whole ArcGIS system of records, insights, and engagement. All right, so let's take a look at ArcGIS Pro. It's a desktop application installed on our desktop computer and very, very versatile. That's why we call it a prime desktop application, right? It provides high-end cartography tools. There's mapping and visualization, both in 2D and in 3D. We can also create charts and animations as additional kinds of visualizations. On the data management side, we have our editing environment in ArcGIS Pro. We can edit in 2D and in 3D. And of course, we have all our analysis tools that give us access to the depth of our data to derive information from our data, information that is not just visible by looking at the map. All right, so Kaylee will actually give us some examples of that in the demo. All right, Kaylee, take it away.
Thanks, Miriam. Let's explore ArcGIS Pro, our prime application for data management, mapping, and data analysis. Let's put ourselves in the shoes of a GIS analyst for city government. It's my job to maintain municipal data layers, such as my parcels, building footprints, address points, etc. A new subdivision was recently just put into this new neighborhood, and I've been shared some data of these new buildings that have been put into place. The format of this data is a shapefile, and I manage my building footprints in my geodatabase along with all of my other layers. To get this data into my building footprints layer, I could run a quick geoprocessing tool that allows me to put those new buildings into my building footprints layer. I'll quickly run the tool, and after a refresh, I can see that that data is now a part of my building footprints layer. From time to time, other departments and even community members ask me for a map of various neighborhoods. I can provide them with a map layout, which is our traditional map product that we can create. It includes a title, legend, north arrow, and scale bar. I can have this printed out, or I can even share it as PDF and various image levels or image formats. Or perhaps I work for the Public Works Department and I maintain an inventory of the city's water lines. Whenever there's a new home put into place or even a change in the water system, it's my job to keep the GIS data layers up to date. I have a group template that I've created so that I could put in a new lateral and a meter at the same time. I can then fill out the attribute information for these separate features that I just created with 2 clicks. We can also visualize in a very realistic way in 3D. We can even do analysis in 3D. This brings us to the system of insight, the ability to run high-end analysis in ArcGIS Pro. In this 3-dimensional scene, I have 2 observer points, and I have a parade route. And for security purposes, I'm interested in what the viewpoint from each of these observers are to the parade and whether or not there are any obstructions in my view. Another geoprocessing tool could give me a line of sight analysis, And then I could visualize exactly where on this parade route I can see in green, and then these areas in red are showing me are locations that I would not be able to see due to obstructions in the view. The police department in the city may also be doing some analysis related to crime. In this example, I've done a 5-minute drive time analysis from each of my police station locations. I also have mapped here in red the 911 calls of crime in the area. And then I can compare that 5-minute drive time to the hypothetical coverage area for each of these police stations. Other folks at the police station are analyzing traffic data and accidents that have occurred over the last several years. We have all that information collected in points, and through statistical analysis, I can see where there are clusters in these accidents.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Kaylee. All right, so from here, let's explore some trends in GIS. Trends that are really driving the ArcGIS system. Some of these trends we have heard about in the plenary yesterday already, so we will revisit those trends in here. All right, so first of all, ArcGIS is increasingly driven by the cloud, leveraging software as a service, cloud computing, cloud mapping, cloud analysis, and data storage. And that's how the ArcGIS system has evolved to support what's called WebGIS. And it's become so much more collaborative and flexible. ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise support this trend. We have the Living Atlas accessible from both ArcGIS Online and Enterprise. And the Living Atlas gives us this ready-to-use authoritative content that is curated by Esri, but really maintained by the organizations that are responsible for maintaining it. So that makes it then the authoritative content. There's also an analytics in the cloud, image analysis, support for real time, and the Internet of Things, of course, then also data storage in the cloud. All of that drives the ArcGIS system. And also GIS is increasingly interconnected. Desktop and different types of apps interact with each other in the cloud workspace, or we also call this a portal, which makes collaboration between departments and agencies a lot smoother and streamlined. And last but not least, geospatial apps are becoming more and more pervasive. We have seen a similar slide like that yesterday, and Jack had a really convincing talk about that. Desktop apps for the office, like ArcGIS Insights, for example, for slicing and dicing our data in different ways. Or if you wanted to think about ArcGIS Pro as a very complex desktop app, because that's what it is, right? So desktop apps, then there are mobile apps for working in the field, for geospatial awareness in the field and data collection, also workflow management. And then we have web apps. Web apps run in a browser. Dashboard, for example, is a web app that shows us maps in combination with charts and infographics as a nice web app, or story maps for telling stories with your maps in combination with text and pictures and videos, all that good stuff. Right? So more and more apps in the ArcGIS system. And then ArcGIS Online is another component in the ArcGIS system. We mentioned it earlier. It's a key component of our WebGIS. ArcGIS Online can serve as a cloud workspace or as a portal. And we can use it not only for making maps in 2D and 3D, we can also use it for analyzing our data, sharing our data and maps, and we can use ArcGIS Online to gain access to workflow-specific apps like ArcGIS field maps, for example, that I'm going to show you, or Survey 123 for data collection, or ArcGIS Hub you can actually access from ArcGIS Online as well. The big advantage of ArcGIS Online is that it's maintained by Esri, so there's no overhead for keeping that system up and running. But not everybody can put their data into ArcGIS Online for legal reasons, for whatever reason. So ArcGIS Enterprise lets you build your own enterprise portal as an alternative to ArcGIS Online. For larger organizations, that's especially the scenario where they manage their data in a cloud environment and have everything on their own infrastructure. But then basically ArcGIS Enterprise has the same capabilities and more as ArcGIS Online. What both ArcGIS Online and ArcGIS Enterprise have in common is the ability to share content on the web and create maps, create what's called a web map. Okay, so web maps are maps that are stored in your portal, accessed over the web, and they are made up of a base map, of course. For reference, we need a cartographically well-designed base map, and on top of that, we add our operational layers, the layers that carry the theme of our map, the layers that we may be editing, that we may be analyzing. And then, in addition, we can add additional elements like bookmarks, for example, to our web maps. So a web map is base map, operational layers. Actually, there are different kinds of web layers that make our web map. If we look at the slide here, there are tile layers and feature layers. Okay, tile layers are cached. We're looking at tiles, at cached pictures of the data. They draw very fast and make great base maps. And feature layers actually stream the points, lines, and polygons to the client app. So we use them for editing data in the field and for analysis. Together, all these layers make a web map that we can share with groups of users in ArcGIS Online or in ArcGIS Enterprise, with the entire organization in ArcGIS Online, or with everyone, which means the general public. So it's up to me as the owner of a web map to choose that sharing level. We have absolute control over who can see and who can access that web map. Now, let's talk about field operations. Web maps can be used in different kinds of mobile apps for data collection in the field. We have ArcGIS field maps, which I'm going to show you in a minute, for map-based data collection. We have ArcGIS Survey 123 for form-centric data collection. And finally, ArcGIS Quick Capture, a very easy to use quote-unquote big button interface for capturing observations really fast. The data that we're capturing with these apps can be then viewed in real time in the office, in ArcGIS Dashboard, for example. Okay, so let me show you a little bit about ArcGIS field maps, and for that I need to do one thing here. I need to duplicate my screen. start where we left off in ArcGIS Pro. All right? So here in ArcGIS Pro, we're looking at a map of stormwater inlets. And if we open the attribute table, let's take a quick look. We have all great attributes here about stormwater inlets, what type it is, when they have been last updated. And we have global ID as a global identifier field. And I'm highlighting that because there's also a standalone inlet inspections table. And if I open that one, this inlet inspection table is actually connected to our inlet inspection points via the global ID field. A relationship class in the geodatabase connects the two tables. Why am I telling you that? Because ultimately in the field, let's say we're planning to inspect our stormwater inlets, and the inlet inspection records will actually go into this related table not into the attribute table of the point layer itself. Okay? So we're taking stormwater inlets and we are publishing or sharing this as a web map to ArcGIS Online. There is Share as Web Map on the Share tab in ArcGIS Pro. I have it already filled out. We give it a name, a summary, and some tags. And most importantly, we're choosing a editable configuration. That makes the accompanying web layer to this web map, that makes that web layer editable. And that's important for field data collection, right? Everything needs to be editable and the data will be stored in the accompanying web layer. All right? So I have shared this already or published this already to ArcGIS Online. And here in ArcGIS Online, I have my hosted feature layer created when I shared that web map. And basically it created two items. It created the web map itself and it created the accompanying feature layer. All right, and if we take a quick look at that feature layer, it is editable, and sync also has been enabled here in the settings. So this is an editable feature layer. And we could actually open this in the map viewer and make it, because it's editable, do our edits in here. It is possible to edit in the new map viewer. We could select a feature, update the attributes, or collect new stormwater inlets in here in the map viewer. But what I want to do is actually open this in ArcGIS Field Maps and do my data collection and inlet inspection in ArcGIS Field Maps, the app, the map-centric field app that is, that we talked about earlier. So Field Maps has a web app portion, and in this Field Maps Designer web app, I'm opening my inlet inspections web map. Just very briefly, let me show you what's been done here. For the related table, the inlet inspection table that has been published when we published the web map, we have already a form set up, right? So we have the inlet inspection form here with literally questions for the field technicians, right? So we ask them to provide the inlet ID, what's the inspector name, date of inspection, and so on. So this is a drag and drop environment where we can drag questions here from this formatting pane into a canvas and set up these questions. Very intuitive, very easy to use. Okay, And then we save this form as part of the web map. That's important. It's part of the web map. And then open this in the mobile app portion of ArcGIS Field Maps. So here's my phone. I have ArcGIS Field Maps on my phone, the mobile app portion of it. And say we're selecting now, we're in the field, we're selecting a stormwater inlet. Okay, I have inspected this inlet. I go to the related inlet inspections table and add a record to this table. Okay, so what's my name? Here's Miriam, there we go. Inlet inspection date, so what's the weather condition like? Okay, it's dry. Did we have precipitation in the last 48 hours? No. And what's the inlet condition? Is there debris? Yeah, perhaps there is. Is there oil sheen? No. What's the overall condition? It's good. All right. So we fill in those records into the form in the mobile app, submit this, and then at this point, my edit has been saved to the feature layer that then somebody in the office could observe either in the web map itself, or they could have added this web map to a dashboard where they have graphs and charts to monitor the progress of the effort. Okay? So this is how all these different apps and applications work together, and it's really the web map that ties it all together. Okay, so let's go back. Let me do another extend here. Okay, and I have to go back to slides. Okay, it seems like I have to restart the presentation. There we go. All right. So, from here, let's finish it all up with a brief discussion about ArcGIS Hub. We're staying with the ArcGIS system of engagement for a little bit longer here because ArcGIS Hub is a cloud-based engagement platform. It helps you work more effectively with your community of users. It brings people together. If you're using ArcGIS Hub Basic, which is included with every subscription of ArcGIS Online, you can create unlimited ArcGIS Hub sites. With Hub Basic, we create Hub sites. And then there's a premium subscription that lets you build larger initiatives. So either way, you can add content to your sites or initiatives. You can share your work with different kinds of audiences. And you can also set up data distribution sites, open data portals. That's what a lot of municipal organizations do. They use ArcGIS Hub for data dissemination, basically. So there is quite a few functionality already included in Hub as, out-of-the-box functionality, data organization and data filtering. That's, of course, crucial to ensure that, anybody who seeks data can actually find that data quickly and effectively. There are data visualizations, there's support for metadata, all that documentation of our data that we rely on so much when we're looking for data, right? And then we can download data in various formats. People can download the format that is most relevant for their own work and for their analysis. And oftentimes we can even find related and connected content. Again, Kaylee will show us that, and really follow these logical pathways for people to discover data and more other relevant data sets. So many organizations are sharing their data in ArcGIS Hub, and you can search ArcGIS Hub sites for specific data that you're looking for. And that's what Kaylee is going to show us next.
Thanks, Miriam. All right, so back to our city GIS department. We'd also like to create an ArcGIS Hub site. We want to provide an open data portal to our community. We're getting a lot of requests for data, and we just would like to put it out there for the public to be able to access, and we'd also even like some community engagement. We can collect more information in this way. So to get started, to get some inspiration, we go to the ArcGIS Hub product page. This is actually a great place that you can learn more about ArcGIS Hub. Each of our ArcGIS products has a product page that you can access. And if I scroll down a little bit, there are some highlighted examples of various hub sites that already exist. The Johns Creek Open Data Hub, I really like the way that they've put theirs together. We can take a look at all of the different departments here. And being that I was in the Public Works, I can go over to the Stormwater Utility section, and notice you can even embed story maps right into your ArcGIS Hub page. Back on the product page, I could even explore some additional sites for some further inspiration. Here we have a whole gallery of hubs that we love. A lot of these organizations also choose to have their data on hub.arcgis.com. This is a location where we could search for data of interest. So perhaps I'm looking for parks in Los Angeles. Notice I get quite a bit of data here, over 47,000 results. But I have a lot of options over here on the left that I can narrow things down a little bit or even refine my search back up at the top. Let's say I decide on the Los Angeles recreation and park boundaries. I can click on it and get a nice preview of what this would actually look like on top of a base map. I get a summary. I can view full details, so the item details or metadata information would be included here. And this is data that I can just download and use. I could download in various formats. I could say, okay, I want to use this, and I have many options that make it easy, for example, to open this up right in Map Viewer in ArcGIS Online. Here's the details of that metadata, which is our description and all information about the data itself and who created it, and I can open it right in my map viewer and then perhaps search for some additional layers then to add to this map. So Hub is a great place to actually get started with data that already exists. So you're not having to do the collection. Hub provides, is an open data portal that all of these organizations have chosen to share their data with everyone else. And I'll take it back to Miriam to wrap things up.
All right, thank you. Thank you, Kelly. All right, so in conclusion, there are different ways to describe the ArcGIS system. Originally, it started out as the system of records to store and share your data. Then there is the system of insights to explore and analyze your data. And then also the ArcGIS system is a system of engagement to connect people, tell stories. I really want to recommend you check out story maps as well. That's another thing that we didn't have a chance to touch on here, but check it out, maybe in the product islands downstairs. So engagement, tell stories, gather information from the general public as well. There are a couple of resources that we provide with this presentation. Check out the proceedings. The links on this slide will be active in the proceedings. We send you to an overview of all the different ArcGIS products. There's a really nice website that gives you basically a linked overview of all the different products. Then there is, of course, the ArcGIS documentation, and then our training site of Esri Training Services, where we provide course materials, web courses, and instructor-led classes about each of the products in the ArcGIS system. All right. And with that, I want to open it up for your questions. And we should probably also consider questions from the live stream. So first of all, are there any questions in the room here? Anybody? Please raise your hand. Yes, please.
Is the ArcGIS Hub the same license as ArcGIS Enterprise?
The question is ArcGIS Hub the same as ArcGIS Enterprise? No, it is not. It's a different license, absolutely. So, well, ArcGIS Hub is licensed under different products. It comes, for example, with your ArcGIS Online subscription, ArcGIS Hub Basic, but then it can be separately purchased as well. And then, yeah. Again, Enterprise is a separate license. Yeah?
There's one back here.
Okay. Yep.
On the hub site, can you tell what hub sites are the free ones versus the premium?
You mean, sorry, the question is on a hub site, can you tell?
On the hub product page,
Oh.
or as the gallery, you found one that you like. Is it obvious which ones are premium versus which ones are free? Is there a difference in
Okay, so the question is there a difference on a hub site that you see as the end user, whether it's made with ArcGIS Hub Basic or with Premium? Out of the top of my head, I don't think you can see it right away. It doesn't say somewhere made with.
Well, maybe what are some of the differences between the two?
You know what? At this point, there is a lot of documentation about that. Come see me after the presentation. I can actually send you to the documentation or even send it by email, and that way, yeah. So basically with Hub Premium, you build these larger initiatives and yeah, have basically additional functionality for, you know, gathering feedback from the community, for example. That's one of the additional benefits, but there is more, okay? So, but yeah, come see me and then I send you more information. Okay.
We can answer one from Pigeonhole.
Sure.
One that got quite a few votes. How does geospatial metadata fit into this story? So this question came up right after my demonstration, so I'll go ahead and share my screen over. Back to ArcGIS Pro. So metadata is where we have information on how the data was collected, the description, use limitations, etc. So that is a very important step in your process of getting started. And your data in ArcGIS Pro is going to have metadata that you can access from your catalog. So I'm looking right now at some of that information. And then in ArcGIS Online, I gave an example briefly of the item details information. So the point was, okay, how does that come into play with analysis? Well, certainly you want to make sure you have accurate data that's trustworthy that you're using.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and maybe also when you publish from ArcGIS Pro to ArcGIS Online or to Enterprise, also your metadata gets published with it. But then in the ArcGIS Online organization, make sure that your metadata is also turned on. It may or may not be turned on in the organization. It's something that we explicitly turn on. Okay, anything else? Yes, please.
Okay, so when you were talking about enterprise and you were speaking about the portals and the base maps and the layers of features that you can share with your organization for that, I was very intrigued by that, but I'm an educator and I don't think I have access to enterprise.
Yeah.
But is that something that you can work with in Hub as long as it's not sharing proprietary information?
Okay, so base map, your question is about base maps, right?
Yeah, and the layers and features, is that something that I can share in my Hub with my students or my parents or whatever?
Yes, you can. Okay, so the question is, if you don't have access to Enterprise, can you share base maps and operational layers with students, for example? So yeah, the answer is yes. As an educator, you have access to ArcGIS Online, right? And you can basically make the same web map that you have in Enterprise, you can make in ArcGIS Online. You can either publish from Pro or you can make it entirely in ArcGIS Online and then share it with your students. And maybe even have your students go into field maps and go to the field and, you know, collect some data, which is really fun. So, yeah, thank you. All right. Anything else? Any other questions? We have probably time for a few more questions. If you like, yes, please.
We talked about the syncing between like having the Arc Pro map going online, going to the field and then back down.
And-
Like, is that just when you open it? Kind of automatic?
Okay. So the question is to briefly talk about the syncing between the map in ArcGIS Pro that we publish as a web map to ArcGIS Online and then take it into the field in field maps and then back, you know. Yes, of course. So the idea is to create one central base map in the portal, either in ArcGIS Online or in ArcGIS Enterprise. Okay? And we can do that in various ways. We can either publish from ArcGIS Pro and make use of all the, you know, good cartography tools and all the good stuff in ArcGIS Pro, or we can build that web map from data that we might have already in ArcGIS Online. Okay? Once that web map is in ArcGIS Online, different apps can access it, right? So we have seen field maps, accessing it. We're making some edits in field maps. We're saving the edits to the web layer in that web map in ArcGIS Online. But at that point, if we're using ArcGIS Online, the data is also stored in ArcGIS Online. It's not locally in your database anymore. It's a copy of the data in ArcGIS Online. With ArcGIS Enterprise, though, we have the ability to register a data source, like our local database, with that feature layer. So the feature layer can reference directly the data in your database, and then your field edits are actually synced directly with your database data. Versus in ArcGIS Online, it's a copy of the data that we're editing in the field, and from time to time, well, when we're done, we're basically downloading the data to local if we want to have them local, right? So that's the idea of the syncing. The web layer is synced with your web edit, with your edits, with your field edits. All right, thank you.
We do have another one online.
Okay.
So where does the data actually come from typically? In the example you showed with the new house features coming from a shapefile, but how does that shapefile get created? So there's a number of ways that data can be created. Today we saw how one of the ways we can get data is by accessing it online, data that already exists, created by somebody else. We also saw in my example, which I can pop over to my screen just to bring that back up, when I was in the editing map here, I actually created or digitized that line and point myself. So shapefile versus geodatabase data, those are just different formats of ways that you can create points, lines, polygons. So actually manually creating it in ArcGIS Pro is one way that that shapefile could have been created. And it would have been shared with me in some ways. Sometimes shapefiles people tend to share like over email. And then I could just bring it into ArcGIS Pro, and that's how I was able to convert it over to my permanent data. Do you have anything to add, Mary?
No. Go. This is great. I'm just looking at Pigeonhole here. Are there any
Yes.
other questions?
This one right here.
Oh, yeah.
How does the data originally get accuracy later on in the map? How is it actually creating that data to the map? Obviously, someone who's very precise has no overlay on it.
Oh, okay. Excellent. Yeah.
Accurate.
Excellent question. Thank you. So the question is, how does that data actually get related to the map? How do the data layers actually line up with each other in the end, right? The magic behind that is the coordinate system of the data. Every piece of GIS data has a real-world coordinate system. So the longitude and latitude coordinates or the projected XY coordinates are in a coordinate system. I say a coordinate system here that the software can read. And then there's projection on the fly going on. The map itself also has a coordinate system, and the software reads the data in one coordinate system, and if necessary, on the fly, projects it into another coordinate system and displays that data in another coordinate system. Right? But the key is that every piece of GIS data needs a coordinate system. And as long as that coordinate system is defined, we're good, we're golden, right? Then the software can do its thing and display the data in the right location and have the data line up with each other. Excellent question. Yeah. The question is, with a polygon, is that multiple points of data? In a way, yes. A polygon is made up of multiple what we call vertices. Every time you saw Kaylee clicking, right? Every time you click to digitize a polygon, you capture an XY coordinate. And then that makes the edit sketch, and that's going to be your polygon in the end. Okay, anything else? Oh, maybe first the gentleman in the back, and then here the lady in the front.
Another question about getting data on the map. So in our use case, I've got large, vast amounts of data. None of it's geocoded. None of it, none of it's in any kind of geodatabase. It's in database tables. What's the scenario for getting that into the map? And also, what about ongoing updates? So once I get everything geocoded and into the format, where does that data get stored?
Okay. Oh gosh, multiple parts to this question.
I have a session on that tomorrow, actually. But we
We
can
might
talk a
have
little
to
bit about it.
defer some of that to later, right? Okay, so in essence, the question is, with large amounts of data, none of it might be geocoded or might have XY coordinates. How do we get that data on the map? Well, okay. Well, the key is, the ultimate goal is to get XY coordinates onto your data. And then there are different ways to do that. Basically, there's a process called georeferencing. So basically,
Geocoding.
and geocoding for addresses, right? So georeferencing is, say imagery, when we bring that data into a map, line it up manually with a reference data set, and then set control points where that data is supposed to be. With addresses, you can build an address locator yourself, or you can use one of the provided address locators, convert addresses to points on the map. So depending on the nature of the data, there are different ways to add the spatial component to your data. And I want to recommend our talk on, I'm doing a shameless plug for our talk on Thursday. My colleague Brianna and I were talking about finding data and making the most out of it. So we're talking about exactly that process to get data on the map. And if you would like more information, you can always talk to me afterwards.
More of the once it's geocoded, and then where do I store it?
Where do you store it? Okay, yeah, again, this is,
Billions of threads.
yeah. All right. Let's talk after this presentation, all right? And then, let's see, maybe we take one more here from the room, and then maybe one more from the stream, or?
Okay.
Yeah?
So as you mentioned about data has to be online, so this, right, have to be available online?
Okay, so the question is, data has to be online, or should it be online, right? Yeah.
So in my use case, what if my data is not available on cloud, I have on-premise. But then I have a database of all employees.
Right,
I want to display that into an ArcGIS Hub.
right, okay.
The best way to transform data from on-premise to online or cloud so I can use ArcGIS.
Okay, so the question is, what's the best way to translate data from local data in your file system or in your database to ArcGIS Hub, to online data, right? So the key is to publish. You publish from ArcGIS Pro, you pull the data into ArcGIS Pro, and we published, or I briefly showed you how to publish a web map, right? You can also publish web layers separately. So basically, you would add your data to ArcGIS Pro. Your local data can be added to a desktop, ArcGIS Pro, right? And then publish from ArcGIS Pro to either ArcGIS Online or ArcGIS Enterprise, probably for you ArcGIS Online, right? And then when the data is in ArcGIS Online, it becomes a feature layer, okay? Or if it's a table, it becomes a table layer, right? So once it's a web layer like that in ArcGIS Online, then we can add those layers to a web map. And the web map then is consumed in ArcGIS Hub, in field maps, and all the different apps.
So that means data is not live.
That means with ArcGIS Online, the data is, well, not live in the sense that it is not the same data that is stored in your database. That's the case with ArcGIS Online. With ArcGIS Enterprise, we can set it up that the web layer references your database directly, your local data directly. So the web layer feeds their source data from that database. We can register our database as a data source and then, quote unquote, have the live data in ArcGIS Hub. Okay, thank you. And then maybe the last.
Sure, so last one. Is there a way for field workers to input data similar to the way you demonstrated with online and field maps with only ArcGIS Pro? Or do we need subscriptions to all of these services?
You
So
want to take it or?
you can take that.
Okay.
So do they need field maps, or can you collect data in ArcGIS Pro in the field? Technically, you could.
They could. If you want to
Yes.
take ArcGIS Pro to the field, why not? Oh, that's a good one, actually. You can access your web maps from ArcGIS Pro. You can add a web map to ArcGIS Pro and edit the data in ArcGIS Pro. Nothing wrong with that.
Just a little
If you
more
want
hardware to
to.
carry around.
Right,
Yeah.
you have a laptop to carry around, you need power, right? But sure, we're not stopping you. That's another option.
All right, it is 9:30, so thank you all for being
Thank
here. Feel free to come up and ask questions still. And we'll
All
be
right.
downstairs in the expo too.
All right, thank you so much, everyone. Enjoy the conference.